All right, I want to record a video about now how we can use an automated tool to perform our SQL injection. So what you'll see here is I've loaded up my web page again, my dvwa, and a couple things that I've done a little differently because we're going to have to run this through a proxy server. So notice that I am not accessing my local host address anymore. What I did on my Ubuntu machine is I installed Docker over there, and I ran that same Docker image. And then I had to tell it to connect to port 8888 because I already had something else running on my Docker machine, or on my Ubuntu machine, port 80. And so I can show you how to do that. Pretty much all you change is when you do your run command, you do something like that. Okay, then I connect to it. I'm connected to it. Okay, so we're gonna use a automated utility that's going to allow us to do some cool things. And the first thing I'm gonna do is go to Preferences for my browser, Settings, tell it to go to my localhost 127.0.0.1, and it should be pointed to port 8080. That's where our proxy will listen on our Kali machine. So I'm going to open up my web application analysis. Burp Suite is the program we're going to use, and we'll ignore that. And we'll just I'll ignore the update and say next and start Burp. So this is a proxy server. It's going to intercept any request that's made to it. Well, it does a lot of other things too, but over here on the proxy tab, it says intercept is on. I'm going to come back over here to my SQL injection, and I'm going to just test it out. And as soon as I hit submit, it flipped me back to the proxy server, and I can see that it intercepted the request for me. I'm going to click on Action and say Save Item. I'm going to call this maybe Capture 2 or something, and hit Save. Thank you. Saved it. I'm done with Burp Suite for a minute. I'm done with that for a minute. I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm going to use SQL Map. Now, SQL Map is basically it's another tool that will do SQL injection for us. So I'm going to do SQL Map -R, and then Capture 2, and it will yell at us if that doesn't work. So it's testing for SQL injection on the get parameter ID. If you look at that earlier Burp Suite query, or even this one, that's like a Burp Suite actually. So the get parameter there is number 2, and so it's testing against that Burp Suite parameter. Let's see if I get back to the same thing. It looks like it's a MySQL database. That's fine. I'll hit no. It doesn't need a test for other databases. Do you want to include all tests from MySQL? Sure. Yes. So it's going to just basically do a bunch of common SQL injection attacks, and then it should give us some information in just a second. Let's see. Do you want to keep testing any other get parameters? No. And so, all right. So did it do anything? Well, maybe. All right, so if we execute this command, ---- tables. Okay, after you've done the SQL injection, show us what tables you can see. As I do that, it actually sees 2 databases. The first database is the MySQL database, information schema database that has all that stuff in it. But the dvwa, that's the database. It can see a guest book. It can see a user's table. So that gives us a little bit more information. This command will dump the names of the databases for us. You can see that it found 2. It found dvwa and information schema. We already saw the tables from that, but now let's see if we can get a little bit more information. Let's see if, go ahead and give me the users table and show me what fields might exist in that table. So now I can see the fields there. Okay, so and this is all through SQL injection. Well, one of the other cool things is now that I know the user field and maybe the password field, let's see if we can, dump, that's dash dash dump. And we're going to see if we can dump the hashes. Oh, okay. So it's saying, hey, I found a bunch of hashes here. Do you want me to go ahead and do you want to store those as a temporary file for further processing with other tools? Well, I don't care. Let's say no for now. Do you want to crack them via a dictionary attack? Sure, yes. What dictionary file do you want to use? Well, let's just use number 1, the default dictionary file. So, do you want to use any common password suffixes? No, because these are pretty easy hashes. But now it's doing a brute force password attack against those hashes that are in the database. There you can see it cracked it. It's going to go through, for the user ABC123, I'm sorry, the password ABC123. And we'll let that run for a minute. So you can see when it's done, it cracked the passwords. Admin, password is password, we already knew that. Pablo, let me in. So there's an example of a SQL injection attack and using the SQL map program to crack some passwords.